My name's Josh. I'm a co-host on The Imperfects, the son of Sri Lankan and English immigrants, and I grew up on and am now raising my children on Wurundjeri country. I'd like to recognise the traditional peoples of this continent whose land was stolen nearly 250 years ago. In particular, we at The Imperfects would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional owners of the land on which this podcast was recorded, and we extend our respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. I'm inspired by the strength and endurance of the world's oldest living culture, and we at The Imperfects pay homage to the traditions of story when we share stories on our podcast.
Hi, it's Ryan here. Quick announcement. Just before we get started, you might have heard that Hugh, Josh and I are going on tour around Australia next year with a very live and very imperfect stage show. A lot of you have bought tickets already, which we're so unbelievably grateful for. But if you haven't, that's okay too, because we've just added more shows in most cities, including a second show in Melbourne at Hamer Hall, if you can even believe that. So if you do want to come, we would so love to see you. Tickets are at livenation.com.au.
We're all imperfect, and on this podcast, I'll be chatting with a variety of interesting people who are willing to make themselves vulnerable by sharing their own struggles and imperfections.
Then we'll discuss the invaluable takeaways we can all apply to our own imperfect lives.
I'm Hugh Van Kylenberg from the Resilience Project.
And I'm Ryan Shelton from my mum.
And I'm Josh from Hugh's mum.
And this is The Imperfects.
Hello everyone, welcome to The Imperfects.
I love the formality when you're put on the spot.
Yeah, my default setting tends to be quite formal, doesn't it?
Yeah. Good evening and welcome to The Imperfects.
We've got a very exciting episode for you coming up. A very, very exciting episode. Yes. Before we do that, I'm just a bit hot. I might take my jumper off. Hang on a minute.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, God.
Some sort of reveal happening.
Oh, I'm really hot, so...
What have we got here?
Oh, gosh. There we go. There's my...
hang on.
Is that Carl Rackerman?
I'm so confused.
Like many people listening to this will be, but for any cricket fans, I found a T-shirt with Carl Rackerman on the front.
I have no idea who Carl Rackerman is.
That's kind of... I mean, I haven't looked up his stats. I only played maybe 15 games for Australia. And he's got his own T-shirt.
Such a random idea.
Wow. Because you walked in the studio before, because you went to the car, I'm going to put something on for this episode. I was like, oh, okay, what is it going to be, like clip-on mullet or something like that? You know, I thought for Nedd Brockmann, you know. And you came in very smugly, acting like nothing was up. And I was like, okay, well, there's something happening here. And then the reveal, Carl Rackerman.
It's the most obscure. He played in the 90s. It's just, he's got his own T-shirt, but I'm so excited. This is not an ad for the company that do this T-shirt. I found this company called Electric Wiki, and they do T-shirts, and I bought you both a T-shirt. Oh. So Ryan, this is your T-shirt.
Please, Carl Rackerman. Please, Carl Rackerman.
That's what I got you.
Oh, Leroy Loggins.
Do you remember him?
Of course. NBL legend.
Yep.
Brisbane Bullets.
Yep, that's him. So
that's insane.
And Josh, here's yours.
Thank you, mate.
Matthew Elliott.
Yep.
Oh, good.
Victorian cricket royalty.
Ooh. I would go as far as saying Australian cricket royalty.
Yeah, and really. Australian cricket royalty.
I know Matthew Elliott.
Yeah.
Jeez. Thank you, Hugh.
Did you know I got him out once?
I didn't.
No.
A bit weird thing for me to know. So you bowled him out?
I did. I caught in second slip, actually.
Oh, you caught?
No, I was bowling. Anyway,
yeah.
Not here to talk about that, but...
That's all we've talked about so far. Is the T-shirt, the weirdest surprise reveal I've ever seen.
I think it was mainly for Josh. It was mainly for his reaction that I found a Carl Rackerman T-shirt.
Barely for Josh, though. Josh's reaction.
Also quite underwhelming.
I promise you, I'll get messages about Carl Rackerman. I promise you. And I'll send them all through to our Slack group.
Yeah, from Carl Rackerman bots out there, just like that pick up on like whenever Carl Rackerman is mentioned on the internet. Oh, jump on that, capitalise, sell some T-shirts.
I do have a very funny. We're going to be quick here, but a very funny Carl Rackerman story. I heard a story once that during a cricket pre-season, they had to do this like mountain climbing exercise. They're like climbing a mountain for all part of their pre-season, and
I can't believe you're following this up with the Carl Rackerman anecdote.
And I know this anecdote.
And he was so angry. And he turned to the coach and he goes, "Fuck me. Did Sir Edmund Hillary have a net session before he climbed Mount Everest?"
Oh.
You think that's funny?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
It's as funny as it gets. But anyway.
It's probably more of a cricket fans.
Oh, well, if you like that joke, cricket people, please send me a message.
Yeah, I probably didn't give it the laughter it deserved, but I'm not a cricket person, so I don't know.
Anyway.
The nuances of the Rackermans of the world.
A Carl Rackerman t-shirt, they exist.
Oh, very nice.
Okay.
Well, for all you Nedd Brockmann fans out there,
apologies.
What an opener. So yes, but seriously though, today it's so exciting. I mean, we sort of thought we'd finish the season, to be honest. Like we sort of thought, like, last week we had Dr. M talk about loneliness, and we thought, well, that's we planned on that being the last episode. And we've also done some vulnerability houses, which is between just the three of us. So we each pull a card and talk vulnerably, and they'll be released over the next few weeks. And that was sort of just meant to be like kind of post-season bonuses. And then this opportunity came up to talk to Nedd Brockmann. Now, I mean, do you want to just explain quickly, Hugh? Most people know who Nedd Brockmann is, but... Yeah,
so Nedd Brockmann, in a nutshell, he ran from Perth to Sydney in 46 days. It's like a friend of mine trained to do a 100-kilometre race a couple of years ago, and the lead up to it was immense. And talking to him afterwards, what he went through emotionally to do that, it was huge. And Nedd did that every day for 46 days. I thought about it so much during the feat itself, but I still can't comprehend or fathom. I don't think anyone really can.
No. We spoke to him yesterday, and which is what we're about to play. And I was so I can't remember the last time that I've been genuinely stunned as he was talking, like as he was explaining what he went through, and even what he's going through now, really after the fact. I'd be interested to look back at the footage of me listening, because I caught myself every now and again just like literally like mouth open, like in shock. I was stunned. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
There's quite a few times I noticed that you just kept leaning in towards him so much the microphone was no longer in front of you because you were leaning towards him so much.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really, really is incredible. And look, we want to get to it as quickly as possible because...
one thing I loved was I was 99.99% sure that he was just a terrific person who purely was just doing this, to raise money for someone, just to test himself mentally and physically. But when he sort of walked in, and I don't know if you guys felt the same way, just this, you could tell he's just such an authentically good person.
Yeah.
And he even said, I think we all assumed he'd just been doing the rounds, the media rounds and the podcasts and everything. He said, yeah, I'm only really doing a couple of podcasts, and I've said I'm just saying no to most things. And that was sort of all the evidence that you kind of needed to go, well, he's not doing this to be famous. He's not doing this for any other reason other than to really test himself, to inspire people, and to raise money for people who need it. He's just such a sensational person.
Yeah. Absolute legend. We're all in love with him. Haven't felt like this since we had Harry Garside on the podcast.
Yes.
and their friends. What a friendship.
And their friends.
Imagine hanging out with those two.
Oh, yes.
Nedd and Harry.
Yeah.
God, yeah, it'd be too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get right to it. And look, after we chat, there's not really much to say after this. Nedd covers it all, and we'll come back and...
Josh, what did you say yesterday? It was like talking to someone...
Oh, yeah. The feeling I got, because he just talked about, a lot of it was about how he couldn't explain what it felt like. And it felt like an astronaut coming back from space, where it's impossible to imagine what that would be like unless you've done it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have no idea.
Yeah, when the astronauts come back, everyone's like, oh, incredible job. Great work on the moon. But you can't really relate to what that was like.
Yeah.
No. It's not like when someone eats 50 hot dogs and you're like, God, great effort.
Yeah.
I mean, I can eat about 4 and I'm stuffed. But you can't really understand what it takes,
No, and hence why we're not going to do too much of a summary at the end, because I don't think no one really feels like we
Yeah.
It's just, we love the interview so much, and he's just a wonderful guy, so we hope you enjoy it as much as we did. Ladies and gentlemen, Nedd Brockmann.
You said the cold couldn't burn us. We're alright.
don't use headphones. That's why I do this, and I get dizzy. Well,
I was just going to say, amazing start already. We have Nedd Brockmann in the studio. Hugh letting Ned know that I don't wear headphones because it makes me dizzy. The man who started the Resilience Project telling Nedd Brockmann,
the toughest man in Australia.
It's like, the earphones make me dizzy.
I was going to question it, but I'm glad you brought it up straight away. It's good. It removed all that, so great. Thanks.
Sorry, Hugh.
No, it's okay. So everyone, Nedd Brockmann is here. Did you run down here from Sydney?
No, the 8 MRIs I had yesterday didn't allow that to happen. So
8 MRIs?
I got the easy way out and got the plane down.
Down.
Yeah.
Most people would call that just the way you get from Sydney to Melbourne.
Yeah.
The easy way out.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing to talk in terms of how do you get there. But, yes, definitely flew.
Every time you step onto any sort of vehicle or plane, you lose credibility.
Yeah. Only flying now.
Yeah.
Good on you.
Now you can't run. Well, you're kind of the running guy. So
yeah. I got that.
Well, welcome, Nedd Brockmann. Wow. Hugh, do you want to give like a bit of context as to, most people know who Nedd Brockmann is, I would imagine, because otherwise you've been not looking at the news or the internet for the last couple of months.
Yeah, basically. So I first became aware of Ned and his incredible, I was going to say feats, but feat is probably a good word as well. An amazing feat. When you ran after work. So you're a Sparky, is that right?
Yep.
So you're an electrician, and at the end of every single day, you run a marathon for how many days was it again?
50 days in a row, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
50 days. What?
So 50 days already ran a marathon after work.
Yep.
And then recently, most people know Ned ran from Cottesloe Beach in Perth to Bondi Beach in Sydney. He's ran all the way across Australia. And it took how many days?
46 and a half.
46 and a half days.
The initial goal was 40, but we had a few hiccups along the way.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
Yeah. Another week wasn't too bad in comparison, but yeah.
But quite literally, it's pretty much around 100 Ks every single day, which is 2.5 marathons every single day for 46 days, for those of you who don't know. As someone so I run myself a slightly shorter distance.
Yep.
I run 400 metres, so it's a little bit less. I'm going to find it very hard not to just pep you with running questions because this is not so much about running, I guess, but I don't know, maybe I could just call you later and we could just talk running for
That's fine. I'm ready for
many
that
hours. Yeah. I think the first thing I would love to know, because this is, I guess, sort of a mental health, we do a focus on mental health. I think the premise of this podcast really is that we see something on the outside from someone, we make so many assumptions about how great their life must be. And I think the assumption now, having run for that long, for a lot of people is just like, what an achievement, you must be on the biggest high. Mm-hmm. I have no doubt there was a high attached to it. It finished, it was a couple of weeks ago now. Was that 3 weeks ago?
A month now or a month tomorrow, yeah.
I am just so fascinated to know how your mental health is right now, because I even know, like, if I have an event coming up, maybe it's a race, maybe it's doing a show, there's a high after it, but then there's a bit of a crash afterwards, a bit of a low. I can't even begin to imagine. Is that the case for you right now?
Yeah, definitely. Very short answer, yes. I could go into depths and depths on this. It's like, as you said, with the 50 marathons in 50 days I did in 2020, this was the first of major kind of running things I've ever done. And I was just chasing this, I'm to 50 days, this one goal of achieving this, and so all my energy is towards getting this run done, getting these runs done, getting these days done, and ticking off these tiny little goals. And I finally got to the 50th day. Amazing! Like, I ran a 2:53 marathon on that final day.
Oh my gosh! That's for people who don't know marathons. That's incredibly
Hang on,
fast.
a two? What did you say?
So 2 hours 53, which was I don't know, 4:06 pace or something.
For a lot of marathon runners, the goal is get under 3 hours. That's kind of a bit of a thing, and you did it on your 50th day.
Very cool. I was like, I want to get
this. Was that the fastest one you did?
Yeah, I wanted to get the 50 days done, and then I got to like day 10 and went, I'm going to do this pretty easy. I want to make the hard, do the last day fast as I can. And ended up getting a sub 3, which is pretty cool. So I had this just drive and energy, and it was like the build up to do the 50 marathons was quite big. But again, I just had this goal to achieve. And so when I finally achieved it, probably the week after, there was all this hype around me, and oh my God, this tradie did this. I made some news, made some articles, whatever. And Instagram, I guess I got a few more followers, and I was like, people know me, whatever. And then I kind of felt like I was Superman in a way. I've just achieved this thing that, like, you know, no one's ever worked before and then run a marathon after work for 50 days. And I was dead set on my feet all day at work as well. It wasn't like I'm sleeping all day. It was like I was at work twisting cable. It's not the hardest thing, but
it's pretty physically demanding.
Yeah, even just being on your feet and not recovering, that was the hardest thing. And so, yeah, anyway, fast forward to 2 weeks later, I did this ridiculous run around Bronte Car Park in Sydney, 200 laps, which was about 145K. Really terrible nutrition. Like, I wasn't really on top of it, but I just thought I was Superman. So then,
I mean, you say Superman, but you were Brockman.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Super Brock, yeah.
Brockman by day, electrician, and then by night you run. You don't really save anyone, but you run. But I'd love to see a superhero called Brockman who
it does work though, doesn't it?
Yeah, when you hear someone's in distress, it takes a while, but you run and save them.
I'll get there eventually.
This superhero runs. Okay, that's pretty good. He runs a long way. That's good. Yeah.
Won't be here quickly, but anyway.
He'll see you in 46 days.
And then on the mental health, I got injured the week after I did that ridiculous run, and I'd never dealt with injury in terms of running before, and I never had to deal with mental health on achieving this high. So I was just chasing that high of what I felt after that 50 marathons. And then I finished this run. A week later, I've got this ITB pain, and I just thought I'll run on it. So I ran on it for a month.
What's ITB?
So your iliotibial band down the side of your leg, it just tightens up.
It's like the longest muscle in the body.
Yeah, and it just shortens up your hip and your knee, and once it becomes tight, it pulls, and you get friction on there's like a bursa at your knee, on the lateral side of your knee, and it was just severe pain. And I'm like, it dead set feels like a screwdriver going into it. And I was like, I'll run on it, because that's what I had to do to get through the 50 marathons. I had to run on pain and injury.
Yeah.
And so, I ran for a month, sought physio help, and I was still running this high. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I can't run anymore. I've got to get scans. And then my whole world came crashing down. I wasn't this Brockman. I was Nedd Brockmann, not this. Fuck, I'm Brockman, you know. Am I allowed to swear on this thing?
Yeah.
Please don't say Brock, but fuck is fine.
Because I can swear, I'll tell you that. Mind me.
It's his other superpower.
Yeah.
Swear man.
Great at swearing.
One of the best superheroes. We are designing the best superhero. He runs far and he swears his fucking head off.
It kind of works, honestly.
There's never been
pitch it to Marvel.
Yeah, it'd be a great Australian superhero for sure.
And so that was a good year. I had surgery on they basically released the fascia around the ITB and cut out the bursa, and it just grows back non-inflamed, deflamed, I don't know.
Yeah. Not flamed.
No flammable.
Yeah. Non-flammable.
Grows back non-flammable. And so I had this, and I had 6 weeks of sitting down and actually just being with my thoughts, going, what? Because this whole run across the country came on day 10 of this 50 marathons. This idea, I'd heard someone had done it. I'm like, I'm doing this. So this was in the back of my head. And then I've had this surgery a year and a half or a year later than when I did the 50 marathons. And I'm going, this is not going to happen. I'm just being cut open, and now I can't run, and this, and am I ever going to, So I had this down, and I was definitely depressed and anxious and confused about where my life was heading. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go back on the tools. And
this is after the 50.
After the 50, yeah. This is kind of my, I guess, development to get to where I am now and my mindset here.
What is it? Sorry, but what does depression look like for you though? What was the experience like for you?
I guess it's not, for me, it wasn't diagnosed, or it wasn't like in a clinical sense. It was more like I could acknowledge that I was like, I would cry at the drop of a hat over nothing. And I had no idea why. And then I would just cry to my girlfriend going, I don't understand. Like, I've just got this, but it was just me trying to process, and I've never had to deal with this enormous thing I've just achieved. And now I've got no one wanting to, come run with me. No one wanting to tell me, not that was what it was about, but I had all this external voices going, you're incredible. I can't believe you've done that. Now I'm this bloke who's sitting down, hasn't done a thing, haven't run all year. And I'm not this, again, Brockman, which is kind of like that. Tyson Fury talks about it in, I'm the Gypsy King, but then when I'm not fighting, I'm Tyson Fury. and he's got this. And that was the hard thing for me, is like I couldn't really defer between the two.
Yeah.
And so I'm battling this. Oh, I'm doing this, and now I'm down here. So,
and jump in that when you were doing those the marathon a day, 50 days, was it? Were you being constantly praised by people? Were you like, just, is it on Instagram or people that you know, or what was that like?
Yeah, I guess like, if we bring it back to the start, like I'm incredibly intrinsically motivated. Like, fast forward to Bondi, I couldn't care if there was 10 people there or 10,000 there. I just care about me being able to go to the end of my limits and seeing what I'm capable of.
Interesting. Wow.
And so during the 50, it was like this bonus of these people getting behind it and telling their friends about it and coming along running with me. It was just this, oh my God, I am creating change. I am inspiring people to get up and get moving. And I guess that was that, external stuff. But I got injured, had the surgery, and out of that I developed just working with my physio, working with a coach then, and I started to actually talk and open up about how low I was, and my running started coming back, and I started to get back into it. And then I had this audacious goal of running across the country, and fast forward a year, we got going, and here we are.
I do want to get stuck into the details of the run, but I'm so fascinated in how you are right now, as in a month after it, because what's an example? Like say I have a race on a Saturday, like a 400 meter race, sometimes like the whole hype of it, and my race, just to be clear, not a single, there's like -3 people watching. Like no one, like I don't know how that works actually.
Is actively choosing to watch something else?
Is that like 3 ghosts? What's -3 people?
I think it's 3 people standing who are watching,
there,
but they're not even actually.
Yeah.
They're facing the other way. I don't know.
Yeah, actively not watching you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I got the concept though.
Yeah. It matters nothing. Like it really matters not the slightest. But even after a race like that, that night, I might like wake up and I think I'm, like in the race or I'm about to start, or I'll wake up next morning, it's all I think about.
Yep.
My race takes me 52 seconds, and that has that impact on me. What impact does 46 days of running for? I know you started running at 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'd get up sometimes at 6 in the morning.
Yep.
And I'd say to myself, I'd be a bit tired, and I'd go, well, Ned's been running probably 15 Ks already, so let's get out of bed. And you would finish around 6, 7 o'clock every day.
Yep.
So I'm interested in the impact of doing that for 46 days in a row. What does that do to you mentally or your brain? You're in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
No one knows what this is like. What happens to you?
Of course. So again, it's like basing off this kind of going through what I had to go through with the 50, I kind of learnt that you are going to be down. And I had this, honestly, I had a 6-month build up for this run. I didn't have the best physical build up, but my mental build up was this every single goddamn morning thinking about it. So, with your race, you're still thinking about it before you do it. And so I was just every morning waking up, seeing my wall, which had my fuck you wall, my quotes on it, what my day looks like, what training was that day. And then I would do my day, and all I was thinking about was September the 1st and starting. And then it would be every night before I went to bed, I'd be looking at my roof and see my wall, and it's just all these things. So it's just envisioning and manifestation of this goal that I needed to get. And so, it wasn't 46 days, it was 2 years. And so I'm getting through this run, and we actually met up with a family friend about day 40. We had dinner in around Yass, or 42 or whatever it was. And he goes, so what are you doing when you get back? And I go, fuck, I don't know. Mate, I'm 5 days ago, I've got to run 100K every day still.
Jesus.
But it was a really like thought-provoking question, because I'm like, I don't fucking know. Why would I know? I've just had this goal but it made me go, oh shit, you haven't thought about it. So then, anyway, fast forward, get to Bondi, and I go, oh, it's amazing. I'm getting pulled everywhere, and everyone wants a piece of it, and everyone wants to know everything. And to now, I can't run. So this Nedd Brockmann isn't doing what he's just been doing for 2 years. And now he's sitting down, because I've had 8 MRIs, and now I'm sitting down, can't use that energy. I'm used to running 12 to 17 hours a day. And all of a sudden I'm sitting with my thoughts. So for me, I I feel lost in a way, but I'm not upset about it. I don't need to be sad. It's like I've dealt with this before and I know I'm going to have lows, because that high of running through the promenade in Bondi was this out of body experience, which I don't know if I'll ever be able to explain to anyone. I don't think I can ever put into words how that felt, but I know that was probably up there with one of the top 3 things I'll do.
It's a pretty big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, I'm talking about it, and I'm journaling a lot, and I'm like, I had a very down day yesterday. I was very in my head. I wasn't being active. I was horizontal all day, but I'm you think about, is it potentially my hip's there might be a crack in it. The MRI's coming back. Am I going to be out for this amount of time? Am I going to be? So I guess it's just, I'm much better at managing the fact that I know this will end. I know the down will end, but having, I guess, goals and it might not be like the next run I do. It's just like, right, what's the goal for the end of the year? Am I going to go and start on the speaking circuit? If I do, how do I be the best speaker I can be? And it's just like each day it's not about, what's this next run? Where do I get this amazing where everyone's talking about me again? I don't care about that. It's more, how can I get my message across of inspiration, motivation, and helping people? And that's kind of me developing myself now.
I think a lot of people have this vision of you. Thanks for sharing that. I think a lot of people have this vision of you finishing, going, he's just going to rest and recover now. And people picture you just sleeping. Is sleep a really hard thing now? Is that
very?
Okay.
Yeah, I for 2 weeks post run, I was night terrors. I had road trains. A constant dream, nightmare every night of road trains just coming at me, and I have to sidestep them.
Oh God!
And I'd wake up.
A road train,
like a big truck with lots of trailers.
Oh right, okay, yeah.
Because I was sidestepping them every 5 minutes on the Nullarbor.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, so that was one thing across the run, which I didn't realize was going to be have an effect on me like that. There's just these huge trucks, 50 meters long, and I'm lost 10 kilos, so I'm getting sucked into their wind and crazy.
Are you still having those night terrors now?
Not so bad. And I'd wake up stopping my Garmin, which wasn't on me, but I'd be like, Jem. I'd be like, she's like, no, it's fine. And then that's right. And then I even one night I gollied and spat at the wall because I was spitting all day. And Jem goes, Ned, you can't. My girlfriend goes, Ned, you can't spit on the wall. I'm like, what?
And you're like,
I've literally just.
I'm Nedd Brockmann. I can do whatever the fuck I
want.
I'm
Nedd Brockmann. That affects the sleep for sure.
Whoa, spitting in your sleep.
And my hips, because they're so painful, I can't sleep on my hips because there's bursitis and tendinopathy and everything in there. But yeah, definitely affected.
Is there any aspect of it, because you've done something that, like you said, Hugh, that it's uncharted territory. It's something that no one. Well, I mean, someone has done it, hasn't they?
Yeah, people have done it for sure, but not with a mullet and tradie.
but no one hanging around at the moment. You probably not a lot of people you've spoken to. So the average person doesn't know what it feels like. I don't know. Like, is there a part of you, because you said you could never explain what that feeling was running into Bondi, with that crowd, and people genuinely were so happy for you, and it was like it was pure love for you at that point.
Absolutely.
But is there a part of you that thinks that it's hard that no one can relate, like that people can't relate to what you've gone through? There's really, like, usually when we go through something good or bad, more often than not, you can talk to someone and they can kind of relate to what you're going through, and so they can kind of maybe give you advice
empathize
or empathize in some way. But no one, I mean, people know what it's like. I don't know, like whether it's getting really famous really quickly or achieving something. So people have done that, but this is next level. Has that affected you at all?
I guess my immediate crew they don't know what I had to go through, but they were there to, like, they don't know what I had to go through in terms of my mental state.
So who was there? Who was your crew?
My girlfriend, my mate Brad, who's the photographer, videographer with the Bursty crew, mum, dad, and physio. And so, like, my physio kind of understood the depths of where I was taking my body. Everyone else understood the depths I was going in my mind to an extent, but like I had to be a dead set demon. Like there was times I had to go to just places where, again, I can't really explain. So it's hard for them to fully grasp what I was doing. And each morning, like I keep saying I can't explain because I can't, but it's the feeling of hopping in the ute at 4 o'clock in the morning and driving 40K back past where you've driven to the pink line that you've spray painted on the ground to then go, okay, mate, you've got 100K to go. Like that is fucking daunting. Like this morning I had this severe reaction to my 4 a.m. alarm to get here to Melbourne. And I woke up and went, oh no, I don't have to run, do I?
Oh, you had that thought?
I dead set it was because it's the first alarm I've set since I've finished the run. Oh my God, it was daunting
So
to say the least.
You'd stay in a town or whatever and then have to go back. So we would, because there's like roadhouses along, but there's not every 100K, they're like 180K. So we might get 60K from there and have to drive and come back in the next morning if we weren't camping.
Right.
So on that, I guess they kind of could empathize, but all they could do was say it's for sure, and he'd acknowledge what I was feeling, but not really. They could see what I was doing, but they weren't in my shoes, so to speak. So they, I guess, somewhat could relate. But yeah, when I talk to the day-to-day and people ask, I'm like, I don't know how to put this because I don't think there's a way where, like, it's not dumbifying it. It's more just being like, it's a hard one to explain. Again, I don't.
Well, because I think whenever I do something that I think is pretty good and someone goes, hey, mate, great job, I'm like, is that it? Because what I did I thought was pretty good. But if I feel like I'm not getting the praise I deserve, I'm like, you don't get it. You know? But for you, it's like people must be saying all the time, incredible job, mate. It's like, that does not cut it. Incredible job. Like,
it's also a lot of people see it as he ran across the country, which it's still nuts. Like even whether it took 250 days or 30 days, it's still out of this world to do that.
Yes.
And like logistics wise, it is a fucking nightmare, especially the more days you're out there. It's like you've got to so much more going on. Anyway, to explain, what was I saying? I'm sorry. I'm just, so you know, I'm very cloudy in my head still. I'm very foggy.
So no, that's right.
I have a change of thought.
It was around people saying incredible job, but that doesn't cut it.
Exactly. That's right. About whether it was 250 days or 30 days.
Sorry,
That's right. Okay, so, oh my God, guys, I'm fucking hopeless here. Hold up.
No, you're right.
You're right.
Honestly, I'm
so fine.
Totally fine.
Take a bit of water.
I sometimes take a break to have a quick spew in the corner because it gets a bit overwhelming for me. We edit it out.
Honestly, it's actually quite, like, for me, this is like, it is crazy trying to talk about it because at any moment I could just burst out in fucking tears.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, this is like, without trying to too wanky, this is a very safe space.
Yeah, I know. And that's why I want to be, like, I want to give you gold nuggets, but also go, well, it's just me speaking is enough, right? But for, like, I dead set had to go through some of the most gnarly shit. Yeah. And for me, keep this. This is good. It's like, it's so daunting going through, like, the depth, you have to take your mind and know that you are doing not severe damage, but you are damaging your body and you're fighting off. Like, you have two pain levels. It's like one where you know you're not doing damage, but a lot of people feel they might be. So you go to a physio, he goes, oh, that ITB problem, it hurts like fuckery, but you're not doing any damage. And then there's the people who can go, I've got a meniscus tear or I've got damage here, but I have a job to do, so I'm going to do it. And I feel like I've gotten so far past that ability to say no to to tell my body, all good. So now this is how you can do these things. And for me, it's like this, it's so much more important than that. Oh no, it's, you know, I've got 200,000 followers or I've got this. It's like, I do not fucking care. I've never cared. It's more, I want people to know that they are so much more capable than what they think. And that's that. I guess that is at its core. That's why I do it. And so on that question about the people going, oh, amazing work, I'm like, you've got no idea what it takes to run 100K a day. You got no idea what it takes to run 100K, let alone running 100K a day and backing that up 11 days and then getting a severe injury where it would halt most people. And then instead of going, yep, thanks for all the messages, I will quit now, it's like, get that fucking injection, let's go. Yeah. There's the answer to that question.
So you spoke about your team before, and it struck me that the people you invited on the journey with you are people that you love and have loved for a long time.
Yeah.
Can you just speak about the people that were there with you and how you feel about them? You know what it's like when you go away with a group of people or you spend time working on a project with people, you feel pretty close to them afterwards. What do they mean to you, those people?
Yeah.
If you didn't cry enough before, this is probably going to...
No, I'm so proud of my team. Like when I got the injury on day 11, we can talk about that later, but I
remember day 11. Because you disappeared from me. I was very
for
worried.
2 days.
Yep.
Yeah. Disappeared from everyone. And then 2 days later I came back and did the whole, I'm back, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And then I it was just hitting Eucla, which is the border of WA, South Australia. And I was having an absolute terrible day and I just decided to turn on all my crew. Don't know why, just that was what the day was like. So I've rocked up and my girlfriend was giving me a bit of a snarl, I thought, and I said, what's the attitude? And I've obviously just been relentless that whole morning at them. And I don't know. I know, but I'm not aware. She's like, what? And I'm like, cut the fucking attitude. And then I'm this psycho bloke that's just got severely injured, running on absolute adrenaline down this highway with like nothing around. You've got 100K to the nearest town, roadhouse, which there's no supplies medically. No, it's like scary thought what we're about to go into. And I think I told Gemma, it was the only time I was really out of line. I told my girlfriend to fuck off and she just went, I got to go. Like, this is terrible. Drove up to mum and dad and I've just gone, oh, you dickhead, what have you done? And I've forever regret that. Like it was, but in terms of where I was at, I hadn't been slapped up beside the face yet to say, what you're doing is wrong. You need to stop treating us like absolute shit. And so I've got to the van and mum's just going, don't you ever speak to your girlfriend like that again. And don't you ever speak to us like that. And I just went, whoa, that's right. I'm being a piece of shit here. And from that moment on, I'm going to cry. Yeah, I hugged them all and I went, I'm so sorry. I've just used and abused you guys. I just assume you want to be here whether I'm a piece of shit to you or not. And so, after that I went, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go and run my 20K. It was the easiest 20K I did because nothing else mattered. What I'd just done, all that, anything I went through, it didn't matter because I was ruining my fucking 7 people around me who loved me. I was telling them all to jam it. So I ran 20K, got up to the 40K mark and I just hugged them all and I said, I'm so sorry. I will, from this point on till day whenever we get there, I will not be like that ever again. I'm so sorry. I will admit I will be quite short. I will be quite hard to be around sometimes, but I won't go at you. You guys are here to help me. So please take my apology and I will not be like that again. And then I said to mum, but please don't tell me to run any less than 100K because she's like going, oh, because all the injuries and being a caring mum. And she goes, no worries. And that was it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And then from that moment on, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, but in terms of our bond and our connection and the reason I reckon everyone was so strong was because of that moment.
What's it done for your relationship with your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Has it?
So yeah, it's solid as it was. Again, it was parts like it was almost like I feel like Jem just thought it was never going to be the same when we got back. I think that was her. She said that. She said it's like it dawned on her that maybe I won't be the same person because I've gone through this, severe trauma almost. But I assured her that this is temporary. This is the level I have to go to get through something like of this degree. And we've never been stronger. She's amazing, and to go through something like that together with your significant other, it's pretty cool.
What's Gem like? Like because I didn't follow. I was only at the very end that I followed the story, that I sort of got on. I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? Because I'm not on social media that much, and so I kind of missed the whole thing. What is Gem like?
She's a weapon. She, put simply, a big whip.
A weapon.
I mean,
incredible.
There's no other real way to put it. And I think anyone listening that knows Gemma would go, yep, she's a fucking weapon. She, tough as nails. She's very much like my mother. Very, tell you how it is. If they don't like it, they don't like it. If they do, they'll tell you. Hard on the sleeve, but just, and able to be vulnerable, like as much as she needs to be. She's a beautiful woman. I'm very grateful to have her in my life. Yeah.
Amazing.
Was there any point, I mean, this might be a self-evident, pretty obvious question, but was there any point, obviously you went through highs and lows, massive, and that's an understatement, but is there any point where you there was a mental state that you got into that kind of scared you?
Yeah. Well, that day when I told Gemma to fuck off, that was one, because she goes, you're scaring me. And I said, I'm scaring myself. I actually don't really like it is again, it's really hard to explain, because I look back at videos on like Gemma's phone or the content that the guys got, and I go, I don't remember that. I don't remember that person. I don't even know how I got through that. And then I go through my Strava and I see 100K, 103K, 102K, 101K. I'm like, people train their whole friggin' life to run 100 kilometer or a marathon even. And so I'm just sitting back going, you've had this goal where you've like the depths you have to go. I feel like I've unlocked a whole lot more throughout this run, which is really cool. But I think the most daunting times in my head were the mornings. And the getting out of the teardrop. So we might drive 60K and I hop out, and one of the guys opens the door and goes, righto, mate. I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Where's this pink line? And then I'd walk for a K, and then I'd try shuffle. Some days I just couldn't run. I'd walk to 20K and go, right, let me eat, now I'll try run. Some days you message me and you'd be like, oh, I'm sure you're about 15K, and I go, I'm at 30K. Yeah. Or it would be like that. I just wouldn't know. But the most daunting part was that first 10K of the day.
Yeah.
And that was where I was very deep in my head, because it was all dark. There was just like, it honestly felt never ending for a lot of the time, because you have all these, I go over the map and look at these towns and you think, oh, amazing. And you hit Sejuna and you're only halfway, but you feel like it's such this monumental time. But I guess the best thing about it was I was very optimistic rather than pessimistic. I was like, when I hit the South Australian WA border, rather than being like, oh no, I've got 3,000K to go, I was like, fuck, I've just traveled this whole state. Now I've got another state to go, and then I've only got one more state left. Like it was a really cool way. But again, I got so strong because of those deep places, dark places I had to go.
Yeah. So
getting through those were like, fuck, how good is this? And so even now dealing with mental health, like the mental health side of things, they're like, a lot of people have gone, how are you going with it? I'm like, well, I've had to go through some gnarly days out there. I feel I can deal with quite a bit, whether it's physical or mental. I can, get through it.
I mean, you've already talked a bit about how no one really understands what it's like to have done what you've done. And I imagine that's the case now. And while you're doing it, you're in some dark places. Was there ever, do you feel lonely during or after, or?
Yeah, I guess throughout the run, and even before it, I guess there's like, it's a very unique thing I'm going down, and it's very hard to explain my emotions towards it, but I definitely was lonely. And like, even in social aspects prior, I had to head down, ass up. There was no going to the pub and catch up with mates. There was no, any time I had was training. Any time I had, there was no dinner parties, no anything. So I guess even in that regard, I was lonely, but it was almost helping me in the fact that when I got on this run, I was almost prepared. But definitely along the run, like I would see my group, like my team, every hour or so, or every half hour. Mum and dad every 20K, which was probably 2.5 hours. But in the mornings, like when they would drive, the best thing I did was tell them to wait for 25 minutes and then meet me at half an hour. So I was running 25K with them behind me, but then there would only be 5 minutes of them in front of me. Whereas if they left as soon as I saw them from the last time, honestly, there was some days there I just felt so like, even though I know they're there and they're only a call away, but the days where there was no service, they've driven past me, I felt so vulnerable and like alone. It was like, yeah, it was scary. And there was on day 8, I think there's the Jimmy Barnes video where I'm working class man, the edit. It was pretty cool. But on that day, there's just these rolling hills. It was 100K of straight, but just rolling hills. So every hill you got up, there was just another hill ahead of you. And so like that was tormenting how, cause I couldn't see my crew. I didn't know if they were 5K or just over the hill. And yeah, I definitely had to deal with that lonely side. And I was, it was really weird how I got through it too. Like whether I'd put music in, but then sometimes music was too much. And I was like, I can't, this is too much. I've got so many thoughts going on in my head. And now I'm just adding another layer to it. And so, yeah, I guess, I was very vulnerable out there, but I also knew at the drop of a hat, if I needed Gemma or Brad to run with me, they would. But funnily enough, I never wanted it because I felt like if I use them each day and they can't run for one day, I would be relying on them to run with me. But yeah, it was kind of nice being alone too. It was nice to be out there doing it. And there was days there where I thoroughly enjoyed being on my own. And every time I saw my group, I would be like, okay, see you guys. Go, I got to go. But yeah, it's a funny one, loneliness. You can either eat you up or you can be okay with being alone as well. And something I've had to deal with a bit.
I just realised I didn't know logistically how it worked. Like whether you had a car. I sort of imagined there was a car there just rolling at 10 k's an hour or whatever at 5 with you the whole way.
Yeah, the road trains traveling 140k an hour wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'd pull up in somewhere safe, and then I'd have to pull up ideally it would be 5k. Every 5k I would have a drink break. Yeah. Some days were hotter, so it'd be every 2 or 3k. But yeah, it would just be a leapfrog. And then mum and dad were at 20k, each 20k. Yeah. And cooking me like my meals, like my proper meals. And Jem would just have the gels or cookies or whatever to keep me going. But logistical nightmare.
Incredible. That was the least of your worries.
I think the logistics
I wasn't thinking
is the
about
easy
logistics.
Yeah. If I asked you to do a marathon now, would you be able to just do it?
For sure.
Fuck.
Without a doubt. I would be out again for another 6 weeks or whatever it was.
You're right.
If you said run 100k today, without a doubt.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
This might sound like a very abstract question, but were you a happy teenager?
Very. There is, funnily enough, like no trauma, I just had beautiful parents that wanted me to not do anything, but whatever I did, just go whole hog at it. No, don't half-ass it.
Certainly listen to that advice.
Yeah.
It was just this never, it was like my dad is fucking resilient. Like that's definitely who I admire on resilience. Like where I take my, who I look at for inspiration. And through doing, not talking, just work your ass off, show up each day, whether it rains or it doesn't, whether it floods or it doesn't. It's like keep showing up. And that's, I was saying that every day. It's like just keep showing up. I want to write a book that's the title Showing Up. It's like we can all take that and use that. But yeah, I was never like the best runner, the best rower, the best footy player. I was always the kid going, I'm going to take your spot in the boat or take your position because I'm in the seconds. But I was never that bloke in the top, and I was never that one praised at school for being the athlete, for being the champion. I was just like that. It was almost the underdog going, I'm going to fucking get you one day. And it's like, here I am, kind of go and look at me now, almost in a way. Yeah.
And you explained so beautifully before what you want people to get out of what you've done and that message. But I haven't quite, maybe I missed it, but why did you start in the first place? Like with the 50 marathons, like where was it just curiosity for your own sake, or where did the whole thing come from?
No, it's great. It's, funnily enough, it was never running. It was always like rugby, rowing at school, I had to swim when I was younger, but it was never running. Hated running. Fucking hated running. Still hate it, to be honest.
Oh, God.
It's just the one thing that you can dead set push yourself. So, like, no matter who you are, we're all born to walk minimum, and run is like everyone can run.
I mean, that's the first thing you've said that I can relate to. I hate running.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, maybe we're more similar than I thought.
Yeah, but like, I hate running, and so because I hate running, I wouldn't run from Cottesloe Beach to Bondi Beach because I hate the running bit, and that is running. So that's why I'm kind of confused. What a weird activity.
Anywho,
I mean, I don't really like celery that much, so I'm not going to eat 100 kilograms of it.
that would not be good.
No, it wouldn't be good.
Put the thought in Ned's mind.
Yeah. Hold up. Has anyone ever done that? And so with running, I guess it all came. I moved to Sydney I'm from Forbes, which is currently underwater. Very not great at all. But so I'm from country and moved to Sydney to start my electrical apprenticeship. And I started to, as you do, go out, get on the beers and do what you do as a young 18, 19-year-old. And I just started getting overweight, and I thought, what better way to lose weight than to run? And so I ran for literally the sheer fact of losing weight. And I wasn't fat. I was just like pudgy, and I thought, I've got to get rid of this. And anyway, I got super into it super quick because I'm like, I'm seeing progress. This is great. But my progress also looked like a 10K run, 15K run, 21K run, 40K run, 60K run, 80K run. Oh, fuck, how far can I go? 100K run, 145K run, 50 marathons in 50 days. I'm going to traverse the country. And this all happened within 2 years.
Geez, not many people have run out of land.
That's great.
It's like, no, I guess that's it.
That's very funny.
I think the only thing I want to mention here is that we haven't mentioned, I keep assuming everyone knows, but for people who are listening who don't know your journey going, but I still don't get why, I think we need to remind everyone that, or tell everyone that you have raised, you did it for homeless people. That was your another drive, and you raised 2 point.
Yeah, we're over 2.5 million now.
Wow.
And can you still donate?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't shut them off. Obviously, it's all, you can keep still donate, but the main push for fundraising.
Which is $2.5 million for homeless people, which is one of the, I've heard you speak about quite passionately before. Like there's a video of you, I think one of your first encounters as a country boy moving to the city, chatting to a homeless person and you're in tears, hearing his story. And so, I mean, that's another thing that people shouldn't forget as well. I don't think people forget it, but extraordinary what you've done for people who are in need. Yeah,
when I moved to Sydney for the start my apprenticeship, I would head into TAFE from Randwick. I'd run into the city, and on Eddie Avenue, I don't know if you all know, but there's just 10, 15 homeless people every time. And I was like, this is gnarly. Like, why are people out on the street? Like this should not be a thing. Everyone should have a bed to sleep in of a night. And so I gathered up the courage, which is ridiculous that is how it is. But I gathered up the courage to go and speak to them. And I would do that. I would started doing that, and it became 3-4 months of doing that. And I was like, my running's getting pretty wild here. I'm going to do the run, but also help these people out. And so, I aligned the 50 marathons in 50 days with raising money for homeless. I'm not the homelessness runner. Like, I don't run to change homelessness, but I run to inspire, to see what I can do, but also in turn use that tool to help this massive pandemic of what homelessness is. And so I raised $100,000 just off the back of running around Centennial Park in 2020, which was mind blowing. I was like, $100,000, that's a lot of money. And then fast forward to this, I was like, I'm going to do the same thing to We Are Mobilised, which is a very small. They could be quite large now. But when we started, they only had, I think the most they ever raised was $15,000 in a year. And they're all volunteers. No one's getting paid to be there. And we just completely changed their
Unbelievable.
organisation. Yeah.
I just picture the person who's like in charge of fundraising, like in their yearly review going, I've had a pretty good year this year, I think. Well, that's because of Ned.
Yeah,
well, that's still my job.
Went up 2 million%. Yeah.
Wow.
It was it's as well this by doing the most outrageous thing you possibly can, it's going to raise eyelids and people are going to have eyes on it. So it was amazing to get the responses I got in terms of the homelessness as well. Like I was just preaching, just start conversation. You don't have to give money. You don't have to give your clothes. Actually just give your time. And they're more often than not excited about someone talking to them because 99 out of 100 people are going to ignore them on the street. Mm-hmm. And that's the issue I want to change is start the conversation. They know where the help needs. It's at the end of the day, you can't open a bank account. You can't apply for a job without an address. So yes, the home is not a thing, but a lot of these guys can sleep rough. They're resilient. They are, but it's the lack of ability to actually get a job and save money and put it away. Like it's all cash. And so once you start, people start understanding one, why they're there, and two, the issues with it. It's like, then we can start making change. But until then, until everyone knows about that, it's like, it's just a dying cause at the moment, but hopefully we can change that.
It's very admirable. It's incredible. I mean, I feel like the last time I remember, like we had Harry Garside, friend of yours, on the podcast, and I was very inspired by what he does. And now that you've done what you've done, and you I assume speak to Harry about it,
yeah.
and he does his like every month he does his uncomfortable challenges. Do you guys kind of compare? Or like, I don't know,
like lives or?
Yeah, like what do you guys talk about in terms of?
Yeah, we're very on the same page in terms of like his hashtag's chasing greatness.
Yeah.
And I feel for me, it's not chasing greatness, but it's chasing my best potential and my best possible self. And
you want to know what you're capable of.
Yeah, and finding that limit. I haven't found it yet.
You haven't?
Not yet. I'm going to be beating down that door for my whole life, I reckon.
Okay, yeah, no, fair enough.
Not sounding arrogant at all. I just mean I want to try and I want to see what I can do.
I think you got the runs on the board. I think like doesn't come across as arrogant at all.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, for sure. Me and Harry and I went and caught up for a coffee about a week and a half ago, and literally just sat talking about, how's this and how's this, because it's this world that, we're both quite young, 23 and 24, where we're trying to manage the way of life. Like this is something not very many 23 or 24-year-olds are going through. So to be able to sit and talk with him and go, how's this, this unique thing that we're both dealing with, it's quite cool.
Is there an element of like, I mean, I imagine he would be one of the few people, like you say, not many people your age are doing what you're doing. One of the few people that can kind of understand what you're going through.
For sure. And I think the attention and he deals with it very well. He's got a lot of, I wouldn't say critics, but people who say that because he defies what the traditional man and how we should act. And it's admirable, and how we can just go, no, this is I'm wearing the dress, I'm painting my nails, this is what I'm doing. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to do it. And that's so admirable. And for a lot of guys, it's being vulnerable, and I pride myself on being able to, like, on every Instagram post I did, if I was feeling good, I'd say I feel fucking good. If I was feeling terrible, I would tell everyone that I cried for 3 hours, that I felt like pure shit. And that's where people resonate. They don't resonate with, oh, life's great, this is this, I'm doing this, it's my skincare routine. Like no one, like it's more, the more real you can be, I feel the more people are going to be inspired and be moved by you. And so, yeah, with Harry and I feel we're definitely on the same path.
That is incredible, isn't it? It's like I feel like people maybe in the past and maybe even in the future, people who would do huge feats of strength or endurance like this, they haven't got really any interest in connecting with the audience or with people like you clearly are so conscious about doing. To most people, just doing the feat itself, that's the impressive thing, and that's all you need to really worry about. But like you're so aware of, which is so true, which I certainly didn't know at 23, 24, which is like it's the feat. It's not necessarily the feat that is the thing that really inspires people, but the way that you approach it and that the vulnerability that you consciously showed, that's what people connect with.
Well, what was really cool was I had this idea of this record being the main prominent figure of this run, and I got to day 11 and that very quickly went, you're injured, you've got 2 days here, this record's looking less and less of a chance. Hold up, what you're doing is so much bigger than any record could ever be.
Yeah.
You are inspiring a nation. You are getting people out of their beds in the morning to go and be better in their day, to go and go for their 40-minute walk. Like that for me as well, I guess, again, I'm not an externally motivated person, but when I get messages like that and it's like, oh, fuck, I am doing something good here. Everyone, let's go. So, yeah.
It was amazing how quickly the record didn't matter to anyone really. Like,
yeah,
because I remember the injury and then you were gone for a couple of days, and I remember just thinking when you came back and kept running with this really bad injury a couple of days later, which is still wild. I remember thinking, oh, it's like the record is so relevant here. It's everyone can relate to some part of having a hurdle thrown in their way,
absolutely,
and then just pushing through it or trying to push through it. So
yeah.
So I want to talk about the injury itself in a second, because that I just find fascinating. When I get an injury, I get so down because I know I'm out for 2 months. You obviously went through that and went, I'm out for 2 days. And I'm sure any physio would have said to you, there's 2 months. So I want to hear about it in a second. But before we get to the injury, Josh, I can't remember if you said this to me off mic or if it was as part of the conversation with Harry Garside, but at one point you said to me, I feel so good knowing that the next generation of young men coming through looking up to people like Harry. I felt the whole time watching you run, and I watched everything available to me watch. I was furious that KO didn't put it on as 16 hours a day because I would have watched most of it. But I have the same feeling about you, watching you and listening to you now. I feel really, really good knowing that the next generation of young men are looking up to people like you and Harry. I think that's another thing that is really special that you are offering up. Really special. I
really appreciate that. And I would hope that's the goal, I guess, is I get, through inspiration and motivation, but also an idol, I guess. It's thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Because I'd look at when you would run 100Ks or 103Ks, that often fascinated me. You went to 103 a lot of the time. I was like, why did...
Sometimes it was like hills or...
Oh, did you want to start on the next morning?
Yeah, or like the roadhouse is a K or 2 away, so I just get to it, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't just be like, another
feeling
2.
good.
Yeah, I look great today.
2 or 3 left in me.
There was that. There was the one part that I was really in awe of, that you'd run 100Ks or 103Ks, whatever it was. But then the thing that impressed me the most, thing I loved the most, was when you cried to camera, or you said how much you were hating it, or you admitted when you were really down. That's, to me, that's what really captivated me. And I think it's what you spoke about before with the vulnerability.
Can I ask about that? When you just what do you go through? Because someone who I look at you and me and I think made of completely different stuff. And there's no possible way, because I've always really struggled with running and struggled with self-motivation. And I remember years and years, and I think I've told this on the podcast, but when I was early on dating my now wife, going for it, I was staying over at her place, decided to go for a run, and whenever I ran, it was like when all the demons would just come, and I'd get like a K in, and it would just be too much. I'd be crying, have to stop, and I just couldn't get past all the negative thoughts. And that's just, and I've never really been able to come to terms with that, and I've never been able to embed exercise into my life because, for whatever reason. But I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this. It might just be something that you can do and it's intrinsic to you and it's hard to explain. But how do you, when you go to a negative place when you're running, how do you overcome that or reshape that or reframe it or push through, or is there anything you can explain there?
Yeah.
He swears a lot.
I do swear a lot. I got a few answers. I'll try and hit that as best I can. But do you listen to music when you do that, or do you just go out for a run?
No,
Were you doing the runs for weight loss, for feeling better, for what were you doing the runs for?
That's the problem. They're always extrinsic motivation because I didn't like the way I looked.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can relate, and so that's hence why it all started. But I very quickly, from losing the weight, I even now, to be honest, I still deal with, which is fucking ridiculous, but I'm even in this downtime, I still deal with body image.
Really?
Yeah, I kid you not, because I'm not as strong as I used to be, and I look completely different. And it's unbelievable to hear that, but I do. And I say to Gemma, I go, I'm not, I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be jacked. She's like, it doesn't matter. But it's like, for me, I've got this. It's so ridiculous. But it's these negative thoughts because I'm not that Brockmann going, yeah, fuck you down the camera. It's like, no, I'm human, and I don't look the way I have looked before, where I've looked fit or felt fit. So yeah, but for me, it was after that initial, I guess, weight loss and feeling slimmer and getting better at running, it turned to, this is amazing. We can go out, you can go and spend an hour of your time running in nature, running in down the street, taking in all the sights, taking whatever, and come back, you've sweated, your heart rate was up, you've just done a great workout. I changed the narrative rather than going out and going, this sucks, I'm trying to become fit or be this. It was, you are privileged to be in this scenario. You are able to go put on your $250 pair of joggers. You can go out with your phone in your pocket, with your AirPods in your ears. You have a Garmin watch to go, let's turn it on. And that is a privilege, and we're able to do that. So I quickly changed it from being about a weight loss to a, let's see what you can do. And then all of a sudden I just, got this drive to be the greatest possible version of myself. But another thing, just on tools I use.
Yeah.
I would not put music in for 40, 50, 60, 70K. I would dead set listen to the sound of road train, sound of whatever. And then
there's not enough music available.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought I was going to just completely bin AC/DC after this run, because I could not play any more of it.
I was going to say, not many people have clocked Spotify.
Get you to about yes, and then you're done. There's no more Spotify.
No. And so I would play music at 70K because I used it as like a cheat.
Yeah.
So yeah, just that, like little tools that to get through. But mate, I have every demon under the sun come this year, and then I sit it down and I go, right, let's talk, mate. And I just deal with them, I guess, in a weird way. I go, oh, well, we're going to have them, so let's enjoy it. No one died from sore knees, no one this, so let's get moving. And they eventually head out, and you get the endorphins post-run, and
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny what you mentioned about, I feel so ridiculous talking about running with you.
No, it's good.
I was hoping this conversation would happen.
It's funny you should say the thing about the honour or the like privilege to be able to kind of to put different words over it, but of being able to get out and run, because I think the only time in the last 15 years that I've actually gotten into a rhythm of enjoying it was when we had lockdowns here in Melbourne, and it was like the only thing you could do, and it was the only time I've enjoyed it, because it was like what an honour to be able to run around the Yarra River down here.
Absolutely.
But it's funny, as soon as lockdown ended, my brain switched again, and I got back into old habits. But it's that framing is a good one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think, and I feel like that happened a lot through the run. If you can change the narrative from being negative to a positive, it's like, okay, what are the, like I didn't sleep for more than 2 hours a night for the first 3 weeks, and
is that because you couldn't fall asleep?
No, my body was in overdrive. My heart rate was still up. I was sweating all night because I was putting Hiradoid cream and Voltaren cream around my both knees, and cling wrapping them, which is a good way to anti-inflame, deflamed, to do that. But your liver's just on overdrive trying to process it. So I'm sweating and sweating. So I would just sweat and be in a pool of water on my bed. And so I wouldn't sleep. But instead of going, oh, fuck, I'm only in 2 hours sleep, it was, my legs are up for 6 to 8 hours. Great. It's rest, I guess. But it's like, that was funny. Like, you have to play these games with yourself. Otherwise you will shit the bed, so to speak. You will not get that done. Yeah.
And I guess it would become there'd be an element of addictiveness to that, to going, how strong can I be here? How well can I reframe?
Absolutely.
It
was more the cliche as it sounds, control the controllables. Like, I can't sleep. Okay, let's sort. What can we do? We can have the legs up. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but you have to be ridiculous, and you have to compartmentalize how the fuck you're going to do it.
There's going to come a time where and it'll be no doubt very soon, where someone will want to make a movie about this, and there'll be, someone will write a script, it'll be turned into a movie, mini series or something, and there'll be a point where you'll have to sit down with the guy playing you, and he will ask you, what was it like? Like even just in bed at the end of the day, you've just done, like, how would you, like, even if it was me, I mean, put my hand up, I'm like,
chances are
I'm up for it. I'll throw down a screen test. If you're explaining to me the mindset of what, or just the feeling of what did it feel like to be in your body, to be you in one of these roadhouses, how can you do that? How would you?
So the pure elation of finishing another 100K is incredible, right? But there's not that runner's high. You don't get that because you've just gone, oh, fuck, I got
The next
2,500K ahead of me or whatever.
Yeah.
But there is that tiny goal of, I've just done another one. Oh, I've just done another one. I've just done, oh my God, I'm at 10. And so when I would get to the roadhouses, I've had a chocolate milk and I'm on my recovery mode, like straight away. But it's this wild, it's so wild because for 2 years I've been thinking about this moment and then I'm finally in it and all you want to be is be out of it.
Yeah.
So I'm in this roadhouse going, fuck, when am I going to get to Bondi? But when you get to Bondi, all you want to do is be back in that roadhouse in pain. So
you miss it.
Yeah, 100%. Because that, like, there is no growth you can ever get more than doing something to the extreme and achieving it. And also having adversity and then achieving through that. Like, the plan doesn't go the way it was meant to, but adapting and then still getting that end goal, it's beautiful. It is so beautiful. And yeah, I fucking miss it. I know it sounds ridiculous, but
no,
I want to be head first back along the Nullarbor, which is gnarly, but very convoluted way of not answering the question.
Yeah. No. I mean, I've got heaps of rolls on the plate, so I don't know if I'll have time to do it anyway. But yeah, no, it really is. It's amazing to think about you missing it. Because, I mean, it's kind of like a nice way the way that you just described that is a way that I think so many of us go through life anyway, which is like looking forward to things, and then you get there and you're just like, oh, you look forward to a party or something. Yeah. And then you're at the party and you're like, oh,
isn't that great?
Yeah.
It's that process thing too, no? It's like you can be so fixated on getting to Bondi. But I say, like, all I want to do is get to Bondi, but I wasn't. Each day I was thinking about getting to here and being a part of this and eating this and doing this. Like, it was enjoying each day too. And I very quickly realized I'll probably never get to have 7 of my most loved people in one. So, like, we were so intently together for one goal. And so when we, like, I'll never get that again, or unless I do another thing and they're all keen on it. But it's like it was so beautiful that I had my mum and dad at their age and me at 23 to be able to just spend 47 days with them, like, living, like, it was sick. It was so, so cool. And, like, my girlfriend, that bond, and my mates and the other, my physio, who I'm just best mates with now, who has gone through this absolute roller coaster of emotions with me. And you feel weird assimilating again because you're now, like, if you're on my belly, I'm walking around going, we've just been through this. And now we're talking, having coffee with someone who's just, not understanding what we've done. And it's a really cool feeling.
So can we talk about the injury? So day 11, you've run 1,100 Ks and you're flying. Like, following at this point, it looked like you were just ticking them off very easily. So, yeah, what happened then? Yeah,
so about day 7, I had pretty severe shin pain and my foot function was maybe 60%, like my ability to pick my foot up off the ground.
Important for running, I imagine.
Definitely helps. And then, so day 11, my belly left my physio that night on day 10. Day 11 came around and I got to 42K, so I got the marathon done and I felt like I'd snapped like a crack in my shin, like a tibialis stress fracture. That's what it felt like because I've had that before. So I kind of was like, this has got to be it. But there was so much swelling around my shin. I was like, something's not right here. But it could potentially not be a stress fracture as well. So we strapped it up. I got 100K done that day. It was not good, but I got it done.
Yeah, we definitely are made of different stuff.
Confirmed.
I feel like I'm made of bread compared to you.
It's a good saying, the right stuff saying, isn't it? If you made the right stuff. Great saying. Yeah, and so I finished, it was my latest day. I think I finished at like 9 o'clock that night, and I was like, oh, tomorrow's going to be rough. But I was not worrying about that. I got straight in got the food
You're
in me.
unable to dorsiflex.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm dragging my foot to get to the ute, like my heel just dragging. And then hopped in the car, and I'm like, oh, and like just the weight of my foot, on that shin was like
Painful.
really fucked. Getting it up in and out of the car. So lifting off the ground was not good. The next morning, I could not run. I was just in so much pain, and I honestly tried 25 times to run that day. I just couldn't.
This is day 8?
This is day 12.
Oh, 12,
11.
sorry.
No, I've just run day 11, so day 12.
Sure.
And I walked 42 kilometers in 8 hours or something, and I went, okay, I'm going to have to make, this is around the time where I'm trying to grasp whether me saying, oh, I've got to take a day off, like 42K, because the plan was 100, like that was it. And I've had that plan for years. Like it was, this is it. This is what you're doing. And so I had to make that really hard call. That was really hard for me. I'm like, no, I'll just walk for 20 hours. That's what I'll do. I'll be able to get 100K out if I walk for 20 hours a day. I'll sleep for 3. I'll get an hour either side to wake up and go to sleep. And then I went, okay, just do the 42, get home, and you might be right the next day. You get a big sleep. And so I went to sleep, ice bathed all afternoon, tried to, tape it. And then the next day, same thing, couldn't run. So my physio, sports doctor, everyone just went, righto, let's make it happen. Where's the nearest MRI? Let's
see what's happening.
Yeah. Nearest MRI is 14 hours away because they aren't out on the Nullarbor. So it's weird.
And what about if you drove instead of ran?
Yeah, good point. And so we made the decision that afternoon on day 13 to drive to Whyalla, which is in South Australia. We drove to Sejuna, slept the night, drove to Whyalla in the morning. We had an appointment at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, I got the MRI and bone scan, so no bone injury. And so I had the results at 1. And then the sports doctor in Sydney is checking up. They've got this MRI report to be rushed, and it's incredible what they can do. And they've got some pull in a remote MRI in Whyalla from Sydney. It just said urgent on the MRI report. And then, so it came back, no bone stress, but severe tenosynovitis. So tenosynovitis is just an inflamed tendon sheath around whatever tendon, but it was around my tibialis anterior, which is your shin muscle. And the protocol is to put it in a boot for 6 weeks and get cortisone shots, but immobilize it for 6 weeks, like a stress fracture. And I went, great. What's plan B? What can you do? And they went, we can cortisone it, and maybe you can sit out for like a week, and you can maybe, I'm like, okay, let's cortisone it, but I've got to run tomorrow. So what are we going to do? And then they go, look, it's like really not good to run on it. I went, okay, so let's feel it. And they went, yep, sure. I got 3 cortisone shots, and it dead set. Do you know expander foam?
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
He didn't use that. But that's what it felt like going in me. So the cortisone shot into my tendon was like expander foam, honestly. And he goes, I've never not been able to push a vial of so little fluid into a shin. So he's like, and I could feel it. Dead set felt like expander foam just going into my nerve.
So it hurt.
A little bit.
Yeah, okay.
My eyes were rolling in the back of my head. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And it was all just rushed. I was like, I've got to get this done. So, and then he put another one in the top of my foot, which is like, there's so much swelling. And then the doctor goes, look.
Have you got photos of your leg at this point?
Yeah, I've got photos of my shin and the swelling around the ankle. Wasn't good, if you didn't know.
You're doing a pretty good job of illustrating how bad it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then the sports doctor goes, look, there's a thing called a dictus band. This is what people use for drop foot. So if you have no control over your feet, it will allow your toes to lift up when your feet, when you have no control. And so I was like, great, where do we get one? He goes, you're not going to be able to buy one. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he goes, no, they don't sell them. They're at orthopedic surgeon places, and they only give them out to people who need them. And I'm like, oh. And so Gemma, my girlfriend, who is an EP.
And a weapon.
And a weapon. This shows how much of a weapon she is. goes into the orthopedic surgery place of the Whyalla Hospital and goes, "Hi, I'm an EP. I work for the NDIS. I was wondering if you had any dictus bands available I need for a client of mine." They went, "Yeah, sure. How many do you need?" And she goes, "Oh, one?" "Yep, no worries. $150. We'll invoice it to you now under the NDIS." And we're just going, holy fuck.
Wow.
So we left within 3 hours of getting there with 3 cortisone shots and a dictus band. We drove 14 hours through the middle of the night. So this is the end of day 14. Gemma drove across the whole Nullarbor in the middle of the night, and I'm trying to get some Zeds in the back of the ute. And we arrived at 2:30 in the morning. I got a 2-hour nap and then ran 100K the next day. And then ran 700K for that week.
But was it hurting though? Like
it was ferocious, but I was told, yeah. So the cortisone kicked in 4 days after. It usually kicks in 4 to 6 days later, and that's why they say take a week off.
But then it also runs out after a while. Am I right? My experience
but I quite literally ran. I gave it enough to, my body. It's absolutely alien, the thought of what my body has done for me, but I've quite literally allowed me to heal it, and it's healed. And so it didn't heal straight away, like it was 20 days. But I ran with this dictus band on. It's just this rubber band that keeps lifting my foot up because I couldn't lift it. So on day 16, when I finished that second day of having it, I was just dragging my foot everywhere. And mum and dad are like, "This is like dead set. What are you doing? Like, what are we doing out here?" I'm like, it'll work. Find a way. That's all I kept saying. And honestly, 4 days after the injections, it got better. It got easier and it like less pain. And I was like, oh my God.
That must have felt good.
Oh. Unbelievable. And then I'm like, "Oh, Belly, I might not need to wear this dictus band today." And he goes, "No, just." And I was like, no, take the dictus band. I felt so free. But yeah, it was, find a way. And if you don't have a broken bone, you'll be able to do it. Which sounds ridiculous, but you quite literally can run through anything as long as you don't have a broken bone. But it's just how much damage you want to do to yourself in the long term.
Do you have any broken bones now? Surely something broke.
No broken bones.
Unbelievable.
I have bursitis in like my hips and knees, which is just swollen bursts from tight tendons rubbing over them. But that all goes.
I mean, it's not helpful as a podcaster to be speechless, but
Is that how the podcast's going to end? Just all us?
Just in shock. Just the sound of jaws hitting the table.
So that wasn't the only injury, but that was the most severe. Yeah.
Unbelievable. It's an understatement.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I mean, I knew what you were doing was amazing, but I was sending you like voice memos thinking, oh, this will be helpful.
This will get him up.
And now just hearing you speak, I feel so stupid for sending you voice memos. You should have gone, fuck, now I'll listen to this because he's seen that I've seen it, so I'll have to respond now. Fuck, I just want to go to bed. This bloke keeps... It's just...
It was surprising how much I thoroughly enjoyed them, and other messages along the way. Because it's so boring. Like I'm running for 14 hours a day. I get caught. I'm going. So I open up Instagram. Oh, great message, voice message. Oh, great, cool. Like that would be fun. It would be great. And no, I loved it. It was great.
That's generous of you to say.
Do you think? I mean, I feel like I want to talk to you forever, but
it's all right. I got a few hours.
assuming that can't happen. The one thing I'd really love to know, you might not have something to say about this, but like as far as advice, if you feel I think you're definitely qualified to give advice, but don't feel like you need to. But people, like so many people, myself included, find it so hard to motivate themselves to do what most people would regard simplest things. And that might be because of anxiety, it might be because of depression, so many different reasons. And they might struggle just to get out of bed. Having like pushed through what you've pushed through, you're obviously already a motivated person anyway, but you've gone to places that no one will ever go to as far as like having to push through the voice in your head saying, fucking stop. Yep. Don't do it, stay in bed, quit. Is there something that you would say to people, generally speaking?
Yeah, I think purpose is the word that comes to mind. But I think that's not fleeting, but I feel you have to have like the whole getting out of bed, and it's like, is it about the job? Is it about what your day looks like? Like, I feel when you have a passion in what it is you do, and it does sound cliche, like, you know, be passionate and, you know, and have a goal, but it is honestly, if you have a purpose, and if that purpose is to inspire and motivate, how am I getting there? If doing the other thing that doesn't allow that to get here, like why? That's why you're not motivated. I feel purpose as a whole is probably the answer. Have some, like, I think it's like lacking drive. Like lacking drive is not allowing you to get there. So, yeah, I think in a very
so purpose. I love that. So it took me a long time to learn about purpose and to apply that into what I do, and it has really helped me. And I love what you said as well before about showing people what's possible. I think that is really powerful, and I often think like that, but more from like a creative point of view. Like what really inspires me is to show people that as far from a creative point of view, you can do it a different way. You don't have to follow the path that everyone else. You can do whatever you want to do. You can do it, and that motivates me.
Yeah. Just on the purpose thing as well. It's on the privilege point. It is go back to my parents' generation. It's hard to be like, oh, what's your purpose? Because all they've ever known is to work their ass off, and this is how you provide for your family. For me, I've been gifted this opportunity to be allowed to go, right, what is it that really fuels my fire? What is my purpose? Like my dad, like me saying this to my father, it would be alien. He'd be like, what the, like, purpose? What do you mean, mate? Sorry, it's not how he speaks, but kind of like that.
He does in my head now forever.
Yeah. We should get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more.
That'd be great. But yeah, I feel like it's a very privileged thing to be able to say, oh, you know, I get to chase what I'm truly passionate about, what my purpose is. And so, yeah, I feel in a very lucky state to be able to say that.
I agree with Ryan. I would love to honestly chat forever. It's just so fascinating.
Yeah.
And inspiring. Genuinely, I know you've heard this from a billion people now, I'm sure quite literally. I feel so inspired.
Thank you.
Talking to you. It's incredible.
Well, I guess I'm doing my job then. That's the you know, at the end of the what it's about for me. And yeah, I appreciate you guys having me here and being able to. I'm glad I got quite vulnerable there. I haven't been that teary in a while, so thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Can I finish on a question that will interest 0.001% of our listeners?
Sounds like a good one to finish up with.
I know you're sponsored by Puma. What shoe did you run in?
All the shoes that I brought.
Did you know what type of Puma it was?
DV8 Elite.
Oh, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many pairs did you go through?
14 to 15 pairs. Every 350 to 400K. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Did you keep them all?
Kept a few, but it's weird to keep shoes that are
Yeah,
dead.
I'm just thinking surely they're an auction item.
Oh, true, of course.
Yeah.
No, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
They're in bins across the Nullarbor.
You've raised more than enough money already. You probably don't need to do an auction. Yeah.
It's a funny one. It's like, oh, we can raise money here and there. I'm like, I like you know, the raising the money around obviously we still need to keep raising money for these things. This is definitely serious, but I like the idea of we're raising money now and this is the end. Like I feel like it can all trickle. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very weird thing to end with, but anyway.
No, it's less weird in shoes. So,
So the charity is called
We Are Mobilised.
We Are Mobilised.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We'll put a link in the show notes. Yeah,
they're incredible, and they're going to do some very, very good stuff with this money.
That's great.
I don't know how to end this interview. I feel like I can usually summarise it by...
The way you said before, I agree with Ryan, I'd like to talk to you forever. It was like it wasn't a but, like we were going to. So I think we will.
And that's how we broke the world record for the longest podcast ever.
Yeah, exactly.
If anyone's going to do it with us,
46 days. Yeah.
Right, we're on, boys. Now.
God, imagine.
So we get
tempting.
tough.
It's tempting, isn't it?
So
what are you guys doing tonight?
I am motivated.
Nedd Brockmann, you are a national treasure, and we are so lucky that you've joined us today. And I know everyone listening will feel the same. We love you and congratulations on the person that you are.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate it so much.
Thanks, Brockman.
Cheers.
Can you believe that, man?
No.
Yeah, exactly. No, neither can I. I've met the man now, and I'm still not convinced that he's a human being.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely speechless.
Yeah, I'm reliving the shock now, actually.
Yeah. I was on such a high after meeting him.
Yeah.
I felt so, I didn't go for a run or anything, but I felt so inspired after meeting him.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing. There's nothing else to say.
There was that. I was thinking a lot last night about that moment where he just kind of lost his way. It wasn't an overly traumatic part of the interview we were talking about, but like it's uncharted territory, the impact of what he's been through. He's obviously, his brain is so foggy at times. He just couldn't think.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah.
It was just incredible person. And I felt very, very privileged to have him in the room on our podcast.
Wild. Well, thank you to Nedd Brockmann for running across the country and raising all that money, but also for coming on the Imperfects.
Yep. Yeah. What a wonderful way to finish. Well, sort of finish the season.
Sort of finish, yeah. Because we're actually going to keep going for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, we're finished, but we're
really
also
done.
giving you form. This is a weird way to.
It is strange.
We are officially finished. Like we finished what we had planned to deliver on this year. We've done that, but we kind of enjoy doing this, and we sort of felt like it'd be nice for the three of us to do a tea house each. So the next 3 Mondays will be Ryan, Josh, and myself. So that's an extra Mondays, and then the Monday after that, or the week after that, we have a Christmas surprise.
Yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. We don't want to say too much, but it's a very, very. I mean, hopefully, assuming that it actually comes off, we've sort of put feelers out there, and there's something hopefully happening. But just keep a lookout for that. We're excited.
Could you give a quick summary as a clue?
Our biggest guest ever.
Yeah.
If we can get them.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, definitely.
Yep.
God, if we pull it off, it is by far, I mean, with all respect to previous guests.
Yeah. He's actually never done I was reading that he's never done a podcast before.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's even more exciting.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. Okay, so keep a lookout for that. That's coming closer to Christmas. But for now, I mean, like we said, we'll be back. But we do want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for listening to this podcast. It's I mean, not only that, but also we've got this live tour next year, and also thank you to everyone for buying tickets. I mean, I'm shocked that so many people have bought tickets for that. But for the podcast, so I'm throwing everything in at once. It's very, very moving to me, and I'm sure to us, that people give up so much of their time to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
It's it blows my mind, and as it grows, more people discover it. It's just something we're so proud of, and the fact that many people are listening to it is incredible.
Yeah,
we're very grateful.
Yeah, and for all the lovely feedback and messages and people who stop us and say nice things, it means so much. It really does. So thank you for that. We should also thank our team as well. We are, the three of us get all the credit, but we have an incredible team who make it all happen behind the scenes. So Bridget, our producer, thank you for everything you've done this year.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing. And this show wouldn't be what it is without you. So thank you so much. To George, who's sitting here smiling in a chair a bit awkwardly.
Knowing that a thank you's coming up there.
George does so much, editing so many episodes, doing all our social media. If you've had a conversation with someone through social media channels, it's George. I'm sure it was a lovely conversation because he's good at conversation.
You're very lucky to be speaking to George, that's for sure.
Yeah. All the cameras, everything. So, George, thank you so much for everything you've done throughout the year. We're so lucky to have you as well. And to the Andys, we have 2 Andys who have helped us out throughout the year with the cameras and editing as well. Thank you so much, boys. Just incredible work.
And Jam.
And
I haven't finished yet.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Yep, sure.
There's 2 more to go. Yeah.
Okay.
To Dr. Emily, who
Sure.
has just been absolutely what an incredible addition this year. And as a friend, I've known her since 1998 we met, and to see her, we were chatting to her the other day. It's incredible. She's never done anything like this before. No media or podcasting or anything, and she's just done such an incredible job and has, I was going to say learnt so quickly, but she was great from ball one. So thank you so much, Dr. M, to Jam, who has actually edited Dr. M's episodes. Incredible job from Jam and has a real, I don't know, just those two as a team. It's really beautiful what they've managed to create together. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you. We'll be back next week.
Back on Monday.
Yeah.
Another episode.
Yeah.
But yes, we did want to take the chance to thank everyone. But yeah, like there is 4 more episodes for the year. God, we're still not that great at this, you know?
No.
We think we're getting good, and then we do something very strange, like reveal a Carl Rackerman t-shirt in the opening of one of the greatest episodes of the year. But look, we'll never forget that opener, will we?
I'm still not convinced we'll put it in. If we do, it's our strangest ever opening, and
It's great.
I'm regretting it a little bit, but I've got a Carl Rackerman t-shirt out of it, so I guess I'll win in the
All
end.
about it's brilliant.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for now. See you next week.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
If this episode has been triggering for you, we strongly recommend Lifeline on 131114. The Imperfects is hosted and co-produced by Hugh Van Cuylenberg, Brian Shelton and Josh Van Cuylenberg. This episode was produced by Bridget Northeast, filmed by Andy Poole and edited by George Martin. A special thanks to Dr. M for her expertise and guidance. We'd also like to thank the Resilience Project for their ongoing support.
It's the weirdest thing you've done on this podcast. That's for sure. Or off. Or off.
Just leave me down here.